Greetings, sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. This is Body-Culinary. And today I'm in the spirit. I decided to come on just to share some of what I have been eating and what I'm preparing currently. What's on my ingredient list? I'm not going to go through the whole recipe because I prepare food very organically. So I'm not a slave to a recipe. Whatever is available to me, that's what I'm going to prepare. And the foods that I'm eating are what I'm relying on for clear skin. Somebody asked me recently what products or do I have any products? And I don't have any products because I threw them all away. I found having so much stuff and so much steps, it was too much. I have found this applies to stuff in the health food store as well as products over the counter or in the pharmacy. So I figured all these years, if I'm paying all this money for this fresh, whole food, quite often organic, and if I'm looking at the package and the package says cucumber, it says essence of this flower and that, if I've got a little garden, I'm paying for sometimes produce by the case, I might as well use the whole food. The only difference or a distinction here would be the whole foods don't have preservatives in it. So they don't have a long shelf life. So, it frees me up. So I am someone that's had a lot of acne. I feel very fortunate and blessed and comfortable in my skin to not have to wear any makeup. So I don't have any eyeliner, no any mascara. I do have a little bit of shea butter on my eyelashes, but I don't have anything on my skin. I do not use soap. I do not use alcohol. Yeah, it's the food. It's the food. It's the food. It's what I'm putting inside, and that's what I rely on primarily, as well as a movement practice, being very active to get all of that nutrition to my skin. I'm also not putting any products in my hair, so I don't have any kind of curl activator or grease or pomades that as I'm moving in the garden, attracting dust, or as I'm getting sweating my movement practice to draw all that stuff down to my face and my neck. So again, if I can't eat it, I do not put it on my skin. There are also, from time to time, I use Dr. Bronner's, or I make coconut soap if I want to luxuriate, my intimate parts with that. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I don't use any chemical deodorants, and I do move quite often. I'm around clients, and I cannot smell funky. So I found baking soda, sometimes mixed with a little bit of castor oil or coconut oil cold pressed is enough, and I don't smell funky. If I do get into a vigorous workout, it does mean I have to refresh and bathe or wash, again, so I'm not funky. But that's it. And I've tried everything on the market. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. This is Body-Culinary, personal chef, personal trainer, professional chef, personal trainer, mother, natural born woman. Shout out to you with whatever your expression is. On this channel, I love to share encouragement. Greetings, uniquely. I love to share encouragement to start your garden, whatever size your space is, to consume peacefully. You can decide if you want to use a label or not. I am not attached to the label. So what that looks like for me is a focus on whole, fresh, unprocessed, living foods, fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, so that I can still recognize them as a food. If there's going to be any processing, I will process it myself. And I would say over the years, it's been many years that I've been eating and consuming this way, focusing on living food. So some people may use dehydrated foods as a transition. If you stay on this path long enough, your palate will change, and eventually they will likely become very heavy for you. So start where you are with some things that you enjoy. Oh, greetings, nonconformists, giving you a shout out over there on the continent. Showing some warm, positive vibrations. So let's keep if you find value here, feel free to give it a like. Feel free to subscribe. I encourage you to make a positive use of the internet and perhaps replay these videos. I'm very big on creating support for myself. Support works. So replay as you're stretching on your mat, as you're decluttering or chopping up your vegetables, right? Because a lot of times it's very easy. I don't know about you, but I used to be snacking on junk all the time as I'm being triggered on these screens. One time I could not watch movies without eating health junk or junk food. And that's just the real. Hey, greetings, love one way. We're going to off some warm, positive vibrations. So some things that I'm very, very mindful of. I have clients across a whole span of demographic. I'm very sensitive to mothers and people on a spending plan, although that may not be a concern for everyone. So I remember what it was like when I first became a mom. I determined if I had two nickels, I refuse to feed my child unhealthy food. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to continue to the best of my ability the legacy of morbid obesity, diabetes, amputations, mastectomies, and cancer. I'm the person that's going to be straight up, especially if I get some folks that look like me. I mean, anyone. But I'm like, let me save you a whole 10 pack of sessions because I'm going to keep it real with you so you can shorten your learning curve. It is possible to eat most fruits and vegetables, living what people call raw vegan. Yes, it's possible. It is possible. It will perhaps require you to learn about how to prepare foods, how to store them, how to take them on the road with you for your lifestyle, for you and your child, how to balance out your spending plan. It can be done where it can be nice and easy, where you don't have to be a slave to a recipe. And in case you're wondering, there is a guide if you have questions that's online. It's on body-culinary.com. There is Whole Living Foods in the Hood. That's a guide with menus to fit your budget. So I give you there a peek into what I've been doing all these years. You'll see visuals, what I was packing for breakfast, what I was taking as I was training my clients, how I'm packing my foods. If you're a parent, if you were shopping at the wholesaler, if you're shopping at the bulk section, if you got $5 or $10. So that's like the survival guide. Any kind of question you could ask, I put it right there in case you don't have access to me. Also, if you're asking, people keep asking about products. I don't have any products. I do put fruit on my face. I'm not kidding. So my hair before it locked, you'll see that when my face is looking greasy and looking like gravel, like the sidewalk. You can see natural beauty, no products, only food, love your own hair and skin. So you don't have to be a vegan. I'm not attached. If you wear makeup, don't wear makeup. That's not my blah, blah business. I'm just sharing with you what I have done. And we are all at different spaces along our journey. I encourage you to not beat up on yourself or other people for whatever you are in your journey. If you relax, relaxation is so key. People for years are coming, they just want the exercise and the recipe. It's bigger than that. It's all the nuances that can also lead to you feeling satiated. So that being said, I'm just going to show you a little bit of what I have. If you look at the guide and the different shops and Whole Living Foods in the Hood, you'll see that it's bulk. It's bulk section. It's fresh produce. It's food that you can still recognize in the original package. And this is my lifestyle. This is what I'm eating. I am not dieting. And the ratios may shift a bit. You'll find your sweet spot depending on your energy level, how much movement you're having. But I can tell you one huge distinction. I can give you one big, huge distinction. And that's that this food, when you're eating this way, will naturally crowd out all of that other stuff. So let me see. How can I share? I don't want to share my screen. I want to remove this. There we go. So this is just a little touchy touch of what I have here, what's going on. And you may see my rabbit running around here. So I'm trying to be mindful. I've had to bunny proof my house. So here we have, let me see, can you see it? We have fresh wheat berries. And actually, these can be expensive in some places. I got these for $2.35 a pound. And my principle is take one ingredient, just like my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and flip it every which way to Sunday. So when people are talking about bread, and do you eat bread? You never eat bread. I was a food addict, a junk food addict. I could eat most men under the table. So it's amazing to me that I don't eat junk food. Greetings. So look, when people, especially let's say if I go to some of my Jewish clients' house, and every culture, my Korean, Indian, Chinese, Turkish. I got a lot of different people that I work with. My Bajan, Belizean, massive people, especially my Jewish clients, they eat a lot of bread. Some people in their culture eat a lot of bread. So people's like, oh, I eat the whole wheat bread. This is a whole grain. If you're eating a whole grain, you should be pooping. So I usually can tell, just like with food, everybody, if they're underweight, overweight, bulimic, muscle bound, everybody says they eat well. It's the details. So I listen. I'm a detective. I listen. And if I'm looking at your results, and I get this all the time, I got this recently. Why don't I lose weight? I don't eat much. Everybody, people 300 pounds, tell me they don't eat much. I can guarantee you that likely you're grossly underestimating the amounts that you're eating. More than likely you're eating foods that I call them substances masquerading as food that have been so over processed and devitalized that I call it recreational eating. And fortunately, somebody got angry at me the other, hey, fallen skies. Positive vibrations to you and your family. I love to see what you're growing. Our garden is expanding. So I can guarantee you most people are not eating that as a whole grain. And interesting, now that I have the bunny, I'm very particular about my bunny. One of my bunnies passed, which is traumatic. It's a whole nother story. And I use everything as a lesson. Look at, she's right over here. She's looking for food. You want to say hi, bunny? I know you don't want to say hi unless I give you a snack. So take it from the bunny. The bunny eats healthy. Bunnies eat very healthy. Let's see if she'll eat some zucchini. That's the only way you come over here. You want to do the snack? So this is Magical. Hi, say hi, Magical. I gotta have some babies around me. See? No problem. This is a real raw vegan. And they're considered animals of prey. So they're very skittish. It makes me think of folks suffering PTSD and post-traumatic stress disorder. You can learn so much from animals and ants and hummingbirds. She's so precious. How could you play with your food, play with this precious creature, and then eat her? We can't. I'm not doing that. Not doing it. So here, Mama, you take your little zucchini. There you go. Now be careful. She doesn't make any noise. Right? So I be careful I don't step on her. So, and here comes one of these people. I don't know how to block this person. It's so irritating when these people or bots come in here to put links to stuff that's not so good. Hold on, let me wash my hands really quick. All right, so we have the wheat berries, and I got distracted. The rabbits eat loads of grass, so I'm going to be growing some wheatgrass as well as some microgreens. But I'm going to be growing some wheatgrass for Rabito, for Magical. Well, I'm going to get some wheatgrass too, right? It's a very reciprocal relationship because she gives us compost. Her poop is cold manure. Fallen skies, you may know about cold manure. It doesn't need to be cured. So I hope you folks come join me in the garden. Don't be waiting. Don't do that New Year's thing. That's a scam. I can tell you it's a trend. That's a scam. Just give you more books and take your money. So this can be used if I wanted to. Remember the principle here, the Grandma Lou principle in Body-Culinary is we take one ingredient and flip it every which way to Sunday. So it's loads of fiber in here. This is very chewy for those folks that do lightly cooked. You can cook the wheat berry. Yeah, sometimes there are these folks, these little bots with funny extensions on the end. And one time I didn't know what it was. And you got to be careful so you don't get viruses on your computer. But it appears that they like to take images of women, Afro women, international women, and put links to their sites or whatever. But anyhow, you can make different types of cookies with this, and you can also do make sprouted breads, right? There are many people that are intolerant to wheat. You can use a primitive form of wheat, which is spelt, or kamut, or primitive forms of this. So many people have a reaction to wheat, particularly if it's processed, because they processed it to something else and they've hybridized it so much. So it's very interesting. Many people have an intolerance to wheat, but they can perhaps digest the spelt or the kamut, right? Which are more quote unquote original or more primitive forms. So when you're dealing with the whole fresh ingredients, it's a whole nother thing. This is so chewy. You could probably swallow down several slices of bread and not feel full. This has weight on it. So when I'm saying whole foods, this is a whole foods. And even some of my clients that are really, their culture is very into bread, I will I'll look around and see what their favorite foods are, and I'll bring the whole food. And many of us are not eating whole foods like we think we are, right? So what else we got going on here right now? So also this is going to sprout. This is going to grow a tail. Not everything grows a tail, right? So then we have some mung. Yeah, these are very, very easy to sprout. So if you've taken the class, and that's on Body-Culinary, emergency preparedness and food preservation. So even in an emergency, I'm not eating out of a can. Shout out to those folks that eat out of a can, right? Or can their own, right? The least processed as possible. At least if you're canning, you know what the heck you're doing. This is just another option if you want to explore it. So now some people may want to cook their mung beans. You have options. So they'll charge you a truckload for sprouts. These are very inexpensive, high in protein, very high, and they're more digestible when you sprout them. And these are some of my favorite sprouts, and they're easier to sprout. So we have mung beans, right? So this is what I mean. Your food bag is the weight of it is gonna get heavier, but your price is gonna go down. So have lots of plum tomatoes, and we have tomatoes growing in our garden. My sister's a tomato whisperer. So actually we have a tomato this season called a black tomato. So now our tomatoes in the garden are maybe about the size of a small fist. The plants themselves look very, very healthy. So when I get a chance, I'm going to post some in the community section. So I'm going to make some quote unquote sun-dried tomatoes. It's not super hot right now. It's kind of like a little bit of rainy season. So there have been times where you can get so blazing hot where I set out trays outside in racks, and then I cover them with screen so I can dry them. Now I can taste the difference between a tomato dried that way and a tomato dried inside of the dryer. So these are very, very expensive in the health food store, so you can also make your own. So we talk about the different substitutions that you can use in other ways to make it so that you use what you have. If you don't have a bunch of equipment, please don't go out and buy a whole bunch of stuff. I guarantee you most people have fitness equipment and have different appliances they're not using or may not realize how they can maximize the appliances or the tools that they have and use them multi-purpose. So use what you have. If all you have is frozen, use that. This is not the season to, again, be guilting ourselves or shaming ourselves into eating better. I'm not going to be that. It doesn't work. It's not for us to shame ourselves or shame other people. It doesn't work, right? When you feel good and when you're having fun, just like with children, it's easier to learn, right? Think about who your favorite teachers were, right? So I have some white onion. So I'm going to dry these. I'm also going to use these in some of my wraps. I call them better than bread, right? So that's one of the biggest things I find that is a big transition food for folks is bread, something to hold your sandwiches or your wraps together. Now, you can live happily without bread. So you may, at the same time, want some things that can transition you, right? So what else do we have? Now, we have some corn here. So this looks like regular corn, however, it is not. And I actually bought this for the rabbit. So not all rabbits like corn. They're wild rabbits. My rabbit is not a wild rabbit. And as an experiment, you got to be very careful. They're so sensitive, their digestive systems. You know, they can get, oh, what are you chewing on? Nope, because she fell into the compost. Move from over there, Boopy. Move from over there. Yeah, so I'm going to use this and make some tortillas with this with the fresh corn. So this is not even the hard corn, right? I used to be addicted to all kind of junk food, so I used to eat a lot of corn nuts. The corn nuts is the hard kernel corn, and then they fry them. So if you really think about it, and folks, please don't be mad at me when I say, I hope you're not mad at me, because I can't control folks, tell grown folks what to do. But when I'm saying recreational eating, we're eating, and I'm big on texture and flavor and crunch. So I was eating these corn nuts, and a lot of it is emotional eating, and it's self-soothing, and it's pacifying, but it's not nourishing ourselves at a cellular level. So it's one of the things that can really contribute to acne. So it took me years to figure out, although I was eating very healthfully, to figure out why my skin was breaking out over and over. And it was a lot of my habits, and there were the things that I had cognitive dissonance about. And one of them was corn nuts. And my red hot blue corn chips and the gigantic, ginormous bags of organic popcorn. I could eat a big one, and my sister could eat a big one. And I didn't look crazy because, you know, I looked very fit because I had a lot of physical activity and a good amount of lean mass. So these are distinctions we make, right, in effective, efficient fitness and common sense nutrition. It's really important to cut the guesswork. So it shouldn't take us 10 years to do what can be accomplished in 6 months to a year. That means likely that we're not effective in what we're doing, or that we have blind spots in terms of quality of food, quantity, how much is appropriate for our body. My son's body is not my body. Your body is not your husband's body. Small children are in different growth spurts. Elders are in a different phase of life. So you want to make sure that you have your particular sweet spot when it comes to nutrition. And that can all be done. How do you think the stuff gets in the pill? Right? It has to be processed. And it's a way to get into a nice rhythm where this is sustainable. So this is actually a harder corn. This is actually, it looks like sweet corn, but this is not sweet corn. It's not so sweet. This is actually has more of a starch content to it. But I'm not going to waste it, because the rabbit, I gave her cut off a little piece, and she was like, I'm not feeling it. So I'm going to use that. And then I'm going to use some plantanos. I just peeled those. I'm going to use those several different ways. And then I have gold and the brown flax seeds. All of these things are staples in my home. They're on rotation. One of my homies in my travels put me on to these peas. So these are dried now. And these are just like fresh beans, right? Many of us are not seeing them whole. So I'm going to make my own protein powder. Hey. I'm always looking to snatch my economics back from these companies. So these should be dried now. These are small. Look at this. See, I feel like a scavenger hunt. I do a scavenger hunt for the peas inside. Or these are the fresh beans, and these are grown locally. So a lot of times when you see, right, I can make my own protein powder, right? Just think about it. I'd rather process it, I have to get in front of the camera, than have it from the companies, right? Because a lot of the nutrients have oxidized. Oops, I don't want the rabbit to eat that. A lot of the nutrients have oxidized inside of it. You're losing the natural flavors and the perfumes because stuff has been sitting on the shelf forever. You see this often with fresh peppercorns and spices. So is the medicinal value, all of those volatile oils, those scents that are in there, they lost a lot of nutrients in the presence of heat and light. This is another distinction with whole living foods. You can still recognize it as a whole food. So what else we got going on over here? We have apples. These cost an arm and four leg because they're not local. And these are not, I miss my food co-op. That's one of the better foods from the States are the Mutsu apples and the Honey Crisp. Nature's going to give you something in whatever environment that you're in, right? So I do get lots of great peppers. I'm always talking to farmers and my friends. Actually, I've got some collard greens. I got some beautiful collard greens going. And thank you, Magical, for your poop because it's great fertilizer. So we've got peppers, fresh bell peppers, fantastic for the skin. There's a lot you could do with a pepper. There's a lot with all of these things. There's a lot you can do. And these are basic foods. One of my favorite foods is pepitas. So all of us hopefully are eating the pepitas. Yeah. Ooh, Goddess Athena. I love Honey Crisp. I love me some Honey Crisp apples. So the pepitas, these are very, very important. These are not salted and not roasted. And they're different varieties. This is a nice, big, fat, juicy one. So it's easy to crack it and pop it. This is like a little meditation. It doesn't have the salt. A lot of times we're chasing sugar, salt, fat, sugar, salt, fat, sugar, salt, fat. So this has a lot of zinc. This is one of the things we should be eating right now for our immune system. So this is great to snack on. And when you don't salt your food so much, it'll stop you in your tracks. You're more likely to tune into your satiation cues and to start to taste the food rather than the salt. Even if it's high quality Celtic salt or Himalayan sea salt, this is also great for the reproductive organs and definitely for my men folks out there. I'm sure I mentioned this to you before. Run, don't walk, get your man. Or make as long as you know he's gifting you with your baskets of your food, right? Because of as wonderful as you are. Make sure that he gets pepitas on a regular basis because of the zinc. Men, when you're having your love and intimate relations, you lose a lot of zinc, right? So this is basic information that we want to have right now. If we don't have it, we're not going to be able to pass this down to our sons and to our menfolk. Hygiene is not just putting all of these different sprays and oils on. Hygiene is what you're eating. If you have issues with halitosis or your breath, more than likely we have a lot of undigested clogging meals sitting inside of the system. The beautiful thing with all of these fresh foods, this is like, it's low of fiber, not a concern anymore, not a concern. If anything, some people may say, oh, I get lots of gas when I eat whole living foods. It is going to require, folks, some basic education of food combination. Broccoli doesn't go with watermelon, right? And then also a lot of these foods may be clashing with the old processed stuff in your system, but it is going to push it out. You're having some serious chemical reactions between the old processed stuff and the new stuff that you're putting in. Do you have a food guide with your recommendations? No, Goddess, but you know I got to put one together. Everybody, you have to go check out the Goddess Athena's page. She's such a dynamic woman. She has so much positivity on her channel. She's brilliant when it comes to finances and money. Do check out her channel. So thank you. I feel that call to action, just more stuff for me to create. So food combinations. At one time, I was very jaded. A lot of things I didn't think make a difference. Food combinations do make a difference in terms of your skin, keeping your skin clear of acne. Definitely with bloating. Definitely, because sometimes we have, we're like, I got a gut. Some of it may be adipose tissue, which is a technical term for fatty tissue. But a lot of it also is water retention underneath the skin. So again, people don't want to hear this. Too much salt is too much salt. There's a difference between the natural occurring sodium inside broccoli or tomatoes, and this is actually evaporated seawater. This one looks white, but this is actually a really good brand of evaporated seawater. So sodium chloride. If you're eating too much of us, most of us have no idea of how much we need, and the recommendations have been changed. They've been decreased because we're eating too much salt. If you're eating stuff out of a package, they have to pull out that living water. All that living water is going to make you look nice and shiny. Are you eating on my toes? And she's licking my toes, the rabbit. That's her form of communication. If she's grooming you, that's a good sign. So naturally occurring sodium, not the same thing as this. If you're eating lots of this, and if you don't have an idea of how much you need for your body, if I take away and I never add this, I'm going to get enough naturally occurring sodium from my fruits and vegetables. So again, these are some of the distinctions that we're making in common sense nutrition, right? We're going over and we're using all different kinds of scenarios, whether you're entertaining folks out for dinner, the holidays, so-called holidays are coming. This usually, unfortunately, for many of us becomes a glutton fest. And when everybody's putting on all of this weight. So how can you get off the bandwagon? How can you get off the whole stroll? A big key is satiation. Satiation, not from doing too much fat on raw food. You're not off the hook because you're raw foodist and you're eating nuts for like 10 people for 10 days. That's not going to let you off the hook, because you can be eating more fat than the standard American diet, even though it's good unprocessed fats. Too much is too much, and it's one of the hardest types of macronutrients to burn off. So these are distinctions we're making in common sense nutrition. So you're welcome to register for those classes online. So this is it's the guesswork. Most of us are guessing. We're guessing, and it's frustrating. I know I want to relax. Even when I was doing competitions, I was like, I'm not going to be dieting. I like to eat too much, and I'm very clear. I have to have foods that I enjoy and look forward to. That's the only way this is going to work. Right. And then all of those expensive supplements that we're taking, many of us, it's going right out in your poo-poo. It's going right out because we're not chewing our food properly. We're not hydrated. So sometimes we're not even getting the benefit of the expensive detoxing programs, because we detox and then we retox. Detox and then we retox. So hopefully you're going to get off the whole stroll this season and not come back this way. We don't have to come back this way. It does not have to take you 11 years to get results. So some principles is satiation, right? Also starting to pay attention to the state of mind that you're in when you're eating. Many of us are eating, let's be honest, while we're stressed, and may not be realizing as you're looking at these screens and you're being triggered by fright and fear and what's going on in this country. You're having a physiological reaction, and it's a knee-jerk reflex for us to start to self-soothe. And many of us, if this is the habit that's been passed down to it, that habit is actually wired into our brain. So you don't need to beat yourself up. Beating yourself up is going to make you eat more. right? This is an aspect of nutrition and fitness that quite often is not discussed enough, especially within different indigenous cultures, right? That we're eating a lot is for comfort, so we're not noticing a lot of our satiation. Kids trying to cook more on the New Year. Yes, Grandma Lou was like, eat your own food. She said, if I want garbage, I make my own garbage. We don't have to eat garbage, right? So just takes getting into a nice rhythm. At least if you start where you are, you can start to crowd out the other stuff. Let's say if you were doing like no eating at home and not making your own food, even if you get it in these initial months, up to 3 days that you're eating, or if you're doing 2 or 3 days of food prep, even 2 days of food prep, 2.5 days of food preparation, and key. So if you look in Whole Living Foods with menus, Whole Living Foods in the Hood, you'll see that I'm big on how I'm carrying my food and my knife cuts when I'm carrying my food. When everybody's whipping out the McDonald's, if your stuff looks like dried sprouts and slop, more than likely you're not going to be enticed to eat it. And should you decide to incorporate a lot more living foods, or to maybe even try to go, explore doing 100% living foods, even for a while, there is something to be said for the food temperature. Just because it's living, or I'm not cooking it or heating it, I'm just heating it by the sun. Sometimes I'll warm something in the dryer, especially if I have guests or someone else, but I'm not eating the food ice cold. So this is a bit of a reorientation of how you're preparing the food and how you're holding it, so that by the time you get to eat your food, it is palatable and it is pretty to look at. I want my food to look attractive, just like I may not wear makeup, but I like glam and I like to be attractive and groom, and I like all of that too. So you want to have a pleasant, satiating experience. It's sustainable. It's not super expensive, but it's going to require you. It's going to require you to do something. And the beautiful thing is that this is all deposits into your 401k of your body. We're focusing on the money, but do you want to take all that hard-earned money and all that investment, turn it right around and give it back to the doctors and be limping on one side and be in excruciating pain? So something could still happen to us. However, I feel more comfortable taking 110% responsibility for my health, right? And I would also say, I ain't telling no grown folks what to do, but I don't think it's really fair for us to not take care of our health, and then we become a financial liability to our spouse or to our children. All of this for habits. So if you learn how to prepare food that you enjoy and you look forward to your meals, and your elimination is popping, your skin now can breathe, that's like a win-win for everybody, right? So it is going to require us. Do I have gold or something on me, or food on me? Usually I have food on me. It's going to require us to invest in something. If you want a result, we're not going to get a result if we don't invest. Invest in learning how to prepare your food, learning how to carry it. Invest in some beautiful containers. Maybe you don't need to get the one from the 99-cent store. Get some beautiful containers that are spill-proof. Hint, hint. So I give away all my little tips, right? Those little things make a big difference. How you're serving the food to others, the food temperature, all of that's going to make a big difference. Your cuts, the consistency of how you're cutting the food. These are the things that make a difference when you're going to a really nice restaurant. And I trained extern at one of the top restaurants in New York. So the food was fantastic. It was like the army. But I said, my folks can't eat this food because we got enough issues with the curry goat and the oxtail and all of that. So I want to have that experience of flavor and satiation, but I don't want to be falling over, from the itis, and I can't focus and be up and awake when I need to be. I don't want to have to buy new clothing sizes, and I don't want to have to wear makeup. So I have found that I have made a decision to prioritize health and confidence over beauty. So if I stay relatively fit and I'm still reaping the benefits of all those deposits, then there's less that I have to do. So I'd rather have decent skin. Well, I have the option to play, but I don't have to put the makeup on, and I don't have to slick my edges. I can take that time and energy and resources and focus and go play in the garden and roll on the floor and play with my rabbit. So we've got the mung beans, we've got whole wheat berries, right? And they're also spelt berries and camel. We've got tomatoes, We've got onions. We've got different varieties of onions, the Vidalia, the sweet onion, the white onion. Oh, also I've been grinding my own flax seeds. So instead of buying wheat germ, you can grind your own flax seeds fresh. This is also really good. So you don't have to, you can mitigate some of the menopausal things that are coming down the line. And for you, and I got young ladies here in their 20s. Let me tell y'all something. You don't want to wait until it's time to have a baby or right until you get married to do a get rich quick scheme with your body. I invite you, because I don't tell grown folks what to do, but I've been in this industry for several decades. I've worked at holistic health centers, seen people with cancer, all kinds of diseases. If you can find ways to enjoy eating healthy, that I would recommend that be one of your top investments. You invest in this bag, in these shoes, in your car. This is your first major investment, is your physical health and your mental and emotional health, because you can't get that back. You cannot. It's not that much surgery in the world. There's not that much exercise, in the world. So I invite you to invest in your food and your little tools, so you can also enjoy making your food, and spritz up your little space. Put some plants, have your little tools around, so you can enjoy making your food. So I do make some recommendations in the classes on what kinds of tools, whether that be mandolins or slicers, or it's more than likely you have enough tools that you're not making use of. And also the mark of a good chef is that you don't have to be a slave to a recipe, and you can turn a knife or a spoon every which way to Sunday and use it for multiple purposes. So I just wanted to come on just to share that with you. This is some of the ingredients of what I'm going to be using, what I'm going to be making here. I will be sharing some of those pictures of the food on Instagram, and maybe I'll post some inside the chat. I also left a really great video, very informative, about depression and alternatives to taking medication. So that you'll find inside the community section. So I'm inviting you all to create a great day on purpose. If you need to reach me, or if you're interested in coaching or a personalized retreat, if you're interested in traveling abroad to spend some time with me in the garden and make food and visit some waterfalls, you can contact me at info@body-culinary.com. So create a great day on purpose. I'll see you soon. I'm also on TikTok as Kwasa with a K, peaceful, like full belly mango. Kwasa, peaceful eating. And I'm looking forward to hearing about what you're cooking in the new year, Goddess. So shout out to Goddess, Fallen Skies, Prepper, Nonconformist, Eyewear, recreational eating. What did she say? Some folk got upset, just like recreational drugs. Carolyn Shepherd, Clever Aunt, Nature's Beauty, Love One Way, hey! Yeah, and Uniquely Beautiful. Sending you all some warm, positive vibrations, and I will see you soon. We're going to tend to this rat.